F1 is finally back, and it is the United States Grand Prix, and it is a sprint weekend, which means that once again it is time for my preview and predictions. This is a series where I'll be previewing, and then at the end of the video I'll be giving out my early predictions for the Grand Prix. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get into the video. As usual, I'll be talking about the top teams later on, so please do stick around for that. Yep, F1 is finally back, and like I said, it is a sprint weekend, meaning that the teams and drivers will only have the one practice session to learn about any new upgrades that they bring before jumping into sprint qualifying. And this could be one of the most wide open weekends, as the top 4 teams are potentially all bringing upgrades to a circuit which is historically very bumpy, but this year has been resurfaced. The Circuit of the Americas as a circuit is a great place for racing typically. There is a mixture of high-speed corners with some very tight corners around the sections with long straights. Turn 1 is a very tight uphill hairpin. Later on in the lap, before the long back straight, and at the end of that long back straight as well, there are tight left-handers, and in between there is the medium to high-speed corners. Due to the nature of the circuit, the tyres do tend to take an absolute pounding, which could be an issue, especially with it being a sprint weekend and multi-stop races are pretty common here. I expect that McLaren and Mercedes will be stronger this weekend due to the nature of the circuit, and historically Mercedes are pretty strong at Texas as well. Red Bull will very much enjoy the first sector of the lap, but I'm not sure how they will get on with the tighter corners, and also how they will get on if the circuit is pretty bumpy, which it could very well be even after resurfacing. Even though the tyres do take a bit of a pounding around the circuit, Pirelli will be bringing the medium tyres in the range, which is actually a bit of a change from what we have seen recently, as the previous 3 races brought the softest tyres in the range, and this means that the C2 is the hard tyre, the C3 is the medium, and the soft compound of tyre will be the C4 tyre. As I mentioned earlier, the tyres take a pounding around the circuit, and that meant that last year it was a multi-stop race, as there was a total of 36 pit stops, with the drivers mainly using 2 sets of medium tyres and a set of the hard compound tyres. With how the tides have been this year, I expect that we will once again see a multi-stop race, but instead the drivers will likely use 2 sets of hard tyres and 1 set of the mediums, with the driver then potentially using a set of soft tyres to set the fastest lap at the end of the race. As I mentioned, Texas is a great place for racing and on-track racing, and with that we usually do see some good overtakes in my opinion here, and last year there was a total of 47 on-track overtakes. To help with overtaking, the Circuit of the Americas features 2 DRS zones. The first DRS zone is down the pit straight heading into turn 1, and the second DRS zone is on the exit of turn 11, down the long back straight heading into turn 12. Last year, the pole position lap time was set by Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and that was a time of a 1 minute 34.723. During that lap, Leclerc reached a top speed of 326 km per hour. In the main Grand Prix itself, the fastest lap was set by Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri, and that time was a 1:38.139. This was on the last lap of the race, but it was still 3.4 seconds slower than the pole position lap time. This year I anticipate that the race fastest lap will be beaten. The pole lap should be beaten as well, but temperatures could be pretty high, which could cause issues with overheating, especially if the resurfaced surface is a pretty dark asphalt. I just want to say that if you are enjoying the video so far, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get back to the video and let's talk about Mercedes. For Mercedes, the Singapore Grand Prix was a bit of a disappointment. They were massively outclassed by Verstappen and McLaren, and one of their drivers was beaten by Charles Leclerc, who started way down the order. And this for me shows how Mercedes has in general lost performance and ground to the top 3 teams. That being said, Texas I think should be a stronger weekend for the Silver Arrows. Historically, Mercedes have been strong around this circuit, and the circuit shares similar characteristics with Silverstone and Spa, 2 races which they did win this year. I feel like Mercedes are going to need to bring upgrades though that do something about overheating, because if they don't, they could burn through their rear tyres. That being said though, the higher speed corners could work very well for their car. Lewis Hamilton is entering his final couple of races now with Mercedes, and this could be one of the final few races where he will have a good chance to score a podium with the team which has brought him so much success in the past. For Ferrari, the Singapore Grand Prix was a case of not maximising their potential. Charles Leclerc had very similar pace to the top three, but he started down the order due to Ferrari making a massive mistake when it came to tyre temperatures in the garage, and Carlos Sainz put the car in the wall before setting his Q3 lap. Going into Texas, I can see Ferrari struggling a little bit more than what we have recently seen from them. I think it will be more Mercedes will be faster this weekend as opposed to Ferrari slipping away, though that being said. However, there is one thing that could be in their favour, especially in race trim, and that is if the temperatures are very high. Ferrari have been fantastic on their tyres pretty much all year this year, and high temperatures may mean that they don't have to worry about any warm-up issues like we saw in Singapore and also potentially in Baku as well. Charles Leclerc has been incredible this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he performs miracles in that car, as it's getting more towards his liking and going further away from a car that Carlos Sainz likes. For Red Bull, Singapore presented a light at the end of a long dark tunnel, and going into Texas, they will be hoping that the upgrades that they bring can help bring balance back towards a car that they like. They have really struggled with tight corners and bumps. Sadly for them, Texas does present plenty of tight corners and is historically very bumpy. However, if they have managed to make any changes to the suspension and balance, then we may see them be able to maximise their car, especially in the higher speed corners. Verstappen was fairly convincingly beaten by Lando Norris last time out at Singapore. However, I do want to say going into the weekend, it was expected that Verstappen would struggle for a top 5. So for him to finish second and minimise the damage was very impressive. At Texas, Verstappen will be hoping for more of the same at the very least, and historically, Verstappen is very strong at the circuit of the Americas. Finally, for McLaren, they absolutely dominated the Singapore Grand Prix with Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri finished in 3rd place, and Texas should be another strong weekend for the team. McLaren for me is the best all-round car at the moment, and they are the most balanced. If Red Bull has any balance issues again, then I can see McLaren dominate this weekend. They do need a couple of 1-2 results, with Norris winning from Piastri if they want to win both championships, and to be honest, it could happen. The medium and low speed corners are where they are very strong versus Red Bull. Red Bull might be stronger in Sector 1, but Sector 2 and 3 could suit McLaren better. They just need to make sure they can maximise their car in the race. So with that in mind then, what are my very early predictions going into this weekend? Well, I think that the top midfield team and midfield driver will be Williams and Alex Albon, as Williams have definitely moved their car forward now, and it's looking more likely that we should see both Williams cars in the points more often. But now, what about pole position and the top 5? Well, for pole position, I'm going to go for Lando Norris in the McLaren to take pole position. But what about the top 5 in the race? Well, in P5, I'm going to go for Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. P4 will be Lewis Hamilton. P3 will be Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. P2 will be Oscar Piastri. And I'm going to go for a Lando Norris race win. But those are my thoughts. The question is, what do you guys think will happen? In the comment section down below, please do let me know. And as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.